Hello, everyone, and welcome to the chat. And joining us for the entire show is really a radio icon from News Talk Radio, 1160 and 1310, WOBM AM from Bob and Marianne in the morning. Mr. Bob Levy. Bob, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Nice to be here, I think. Also, WOBM FM, I am on Without Marianne on Sundays.
That's right, topic A.
Which is really my big thing. I've been on there for Sundays for, I'm in my 36th year.
Oh, wow.
So I've talked about a lot of interesting things.
Yeah.
And to a lot of interesting people.
And you have a lot of people call up.
And I mean, some of them are interesting. Yes, off the wall people.
Off the wall.
Got a call, I guess it was a week ago Sunday, it doesn't matter, last Sunday we go, right at the end of the show, from a guy who said, oh, I didn't expect to get on this soon, I forgot what I'm calling for. And that was the end of the call. People just absolutely, like, you would not believe, they're out there, they're among us. And, you never know who's who and what's what, you know.
Yeah.
If I refer to me as an icon, if I'm an icon, it's just due to longevity.
Okay.
You know, that's a pretty strong word. Of course, I've been with WOBM I'm in my 46th year.
Yeah.
Right.
And when last time on the chat we had your wife Marianne Levy on with us, she told us that you were kind of like the matriarch or patriarch.
I'm glad you corrected
yes,
that.
Yes, thank goodness, of WOBM. That's what she informed us.
I don't know how to.
Just take the credit. Just take the credit. That's it. That's all we're saying.
Yeah, actually, the station is. I've worked for 4 different companies.
Yeah.
Because it's been, formed, started, sold again, and so it almost gets confusing. I like what I'm doing now. I've done everything in that period of time. I was general manager for years. I don't want any more part of management. It's nice to come in, do your thing. It's over. Go home. I'm not thinking about the radio station or worrying about,
That's right. And you're home by 9:30, 10?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Well, it's a lot of people are just starting their day.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Now, how did you get into radio? Who inspired you?
It's something I always going back to probably when I was 6 years old, had in mind. I wanted to be a sports announcer. And I would do imaginary baseball games because we really didn't have TV back then. And so I would do imaginary games, and I would, to myself, and I would use a drumstick for a bat, the crack of the bat. And I knew every player. Back then, there were 16 teams compared to
Today.
And kids knew every single player. My gosh, his number, where he was from, everything about him. And, we kind of idolized them. These guys got a license for a station. Guys I knew, there were 5 local people. One of them happened to be my brother. And I was talking to him about it one day. And the guy was really the most influential guy, said, how'd you like to, come work for us on the side? I said, I have my own business. I was in a family business, wasn't particularly enthralled with it. I said, doing what? He said, maybe you could sell a little advertising, because I was a pretty good salesman.
Yeah.
And I said, maybe, I got the time. I said, maybe I could do a little sports announcing too. Well, yeah, sure, you can be the sports director. I mean, this is a mom and pop operation, And they wanted me really to sell. And so I said, okay. So I knew sports back then, local and other and whatever. And I started out doing a 5-minute sports show every night.
Oh.
But it was killing me. I lived in Lakewood, had to do the show in Bayville. I worked all day I was in my own business. I had to run down there, forget it. So that I couldn't do that for too long. But we started doing a play-by-play of high school sports, which was really, really big then. We started out doing brick.
The Dragon.
Because, well, we realized that they were it at the time. So we did brick for 3 seasons, 1 losing game in all that time.
Wow.
And then when they split to 2 schools, changes. You know, it's not the same. Once you go to 2 schools, it breaks up the community.
Yeah.
So we decided, I decided, it looked like Toms River High School, which is now South, was the only school. And they were going to be really good. And boy, were they ever. So we did Toms River High School. And I loved it. Everything except my voice, but nobody likes their voice.
Yeah, that's true.
And my speech, you know, nobody ever mistook me for an English professor. And so I was unhappy with myself. But people said they could really, they thought I was good. They said they could really visualize the game, which is what you want them to do, you know?
Yeah.
So anyway, to make a long story short, I did so well with the advertising that eventually we sold the family business. I got out and I went full time, and here I am.
And here you are, right?
And I went from this job to that job, and et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Now, Alexa here actually wants to get into radio. And so do
Yeah.
you have any advice for her or anyone watching or anyone who wants to get into radio?
What does it mean? What does that mean, into radio? In what capacity?
I do a lot of outlets in like the media, in the film, just like area. I make videos, I shoot, I edit, I kind of just do everything in terms of film. And I know that radio is similar, but also so different at the same time. And I do have some connections to radio, so I wanted to start it and just try it. So I was wondering if there was any advice that I could get.
Are you thinking on air?
Yeah, like I wanted to be like a radio personality for like a music station.
For a music station?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's... I don't want to say anything negative, but you may or may know that music stations, as they are today, are on the way out. You know,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
Talk
true.
radio nowadays.
and satellite, which is
Exactly. Yeah.
it's people buy, you know, they buy music in
Yeah.
I
There's
eat
other
in
sources for
restaurants.
music.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's
There's
not-
other sources that other than radio that
Yeah,
people
it's not
can
a
find
radio
and listen
that
to
you
music.
listen to.
Yeah.
But there are I guess you start as an intern,
Right.
you know, which is basically interns become golfers
Yeah.
and pick up what they can along the way. But
Right.
we've had some a few interns that were over the years that were absolutely outstanding
Wow.
and wound up in the business.
Right.
You know, and some who have been in the past very, very, very successful, very successful.
Good.
So, you know, left here and went to bigger markets. We had a guy who was originally an intern that became very successful as a morning man in the Boston market and so forth. And you could certainly apply for an intern job with us, you know, if you want to. If you want
Yeah,
to,
definitely.
You know, give me your information. And
Sure.
I'm not in management, but I got a little.
You have a little
you know,
connection.
Yeah.
A little leeway, yeah.
And so let me, before I leave, you make sure I know
Sure, absolutely.
exactly.
Oh, there you go.
Thank you very much.
All right.
So now, being on the radio for so many years, do you have a highlight or something that stands out? One of your favorite moments, or a crazy moment, or
Well, my favorite moments. I'm a strange. I'm a very self-effacing guy,
okay,
and I think if you laugh at other people, which I do,
yes,
you sure better be able to laugh at yourself.
Oh,
That's
absolutely.
right.
I
And,
love that, yeah.
Sometimes somebody will call me and they're stupid. So if I laugh, I'll point out some of the stupid things that I've done.
Yeah.
Now, the things that stand out, you'd have to edit out if I told you,
Okay.
because there were things that should not have been said on the radio. Slip of the tongue.
Oh my goodness.
I went to a radio school. Forget about it. And the only thing I learned in radio school was I regretted that when I was in college, which I only went for a little more than one semester, I should have taken English and I should have taken voice. And I in all modesty, think I would have really been good. But I met one of the kids in radio school. They were kids. I was older at the time already. And he was a dynamite guy he was from Cincinnati. And he was actually living in New York to go to the school. And became friendly with him. Very, very impressed with him. So when we finished school, we had just started the station. I was already working at the station. I said, "How'd you like a job?" I said, "What are you kidding? I mean, they said they placed you, but you know." So I said, "All right." I said, "You're gonna come with me, and you'll move into Tom's River. I don't know if you're." He said, "I'm familiar with Tom's River, and you're gonna be a newsman." And I would take him off the street, mom and pop. So he comes down, and his father was with him. Came down from Cincinnati, helped him move and so forth. And he's going to do his first newscast the day he got there. He didn't know anything about the area, about whatever. I'm worried about how he's going to mispronounce things, because the first thing they all say when they move here from somewhere else is Forked River.
Yeah.
And so right away, people know they're not local. And but he was wonderful. So he comes in, and he's going to do the 7 o'clock in the evening news. It's going to be his first newscast. Okay. So I'm there, and he is Mr. Cool. I said, "Now look, don't be nervous." "Nervous, me?" And he says, "But you got the wrong guy." He says, piece of cake." I said, "Okay." So I go in the studio with him, and he sits down behind a mic, and he's getting a countdown. And I said, I'm going to step outside. I don't want to, I'll listen outside. So I step outside, and the jock on the air, and it says news time. And here is, and he introduces him. And nothing happens. Just dead silence. So what is going on? So I open the door and I run in, and he's sitting with the script in his hand like this, and he's going, and nothing's coming out. This is Mr. Cool.
Right.
He froze up to the point where it was absolutely unbelievable. I had to get him out of the chair, take the script, and sit down and see reintroduced. And said no. So that had never happened, and he went outside. He was crying, and
my gosh.
His father was mortified, and but he eventually he worked out. But that was hysterical.
Wow.
I mean, just
Stuff like that.
yeah. So I of course I laughed, but and then I told him some of the things after that I had done on the air, and he laughed, and he was okay. So it was. There's been a lot of things regarding my show. I probably learn a lot more than people learn from listening to me. I could tell you that what I think is the absolute funniest call that I have ever gotten on the Sunday show. I had a caller who was dynamite. I mean, and she was entertaining people. She was an Italian lady with a North Jersey accent, very strong though, and lovely. and she was crazy. I mean, she just talked about things that she'd ramble on about things that, and again, people loved it. So one day one Sunday she calls, and she says, "Hey, Bob, I heard you got married." I said, "Yeah, I did, Rose." And she said, "But you said, how many times you said you'd never get married again? How many times did you say you would never get married again?" I said, "A lot of times, but I guess you should never say never."
Yeah.
And I can't even understand it. I can't explain it to you. Now, let me ask you about your wife. Let me ask you.
She was very curious.
I want to know about your wife. He said, is she Jewish or Italian? I said, "Why would you ask? Is she Jewish or Italian? Why could she be?" Because I believe you must have married her a Jewish or an Italian. I said, "Well, you're almost right." I said, "My wife is part Guinea." I never knew that was a term, an insulting term. It turned out, though, that not one person of Italian extraction was insulted.
Oh,
Not one called and said they were insulted. And so, as the show continued, I got over that. People would call, and some I knew were of Italian extraction, and I'd say, "Did you hear that?" They laugh, and it was really funny. I said, "Well, did you get insulted at all?" "No."
Oh, goodness.
No. And so you learn something.
One thing about the radio, right? It's live. Everything can happen.
Yeah.
You can't take it back what you say, right?
We don't edit anything, and
Right.
Yeah.
I don't even have I've never even had a button to knock off the call if we have a delay.
Yes.
Right.
And but there's been times when people have said things that should not be said, and I don't have a whole crew there, so the person with the delay is not in the studio, and has failed
Times.
Yeah, they were busy on another phone or whatever, and so there are times that things have gotten through. And
Some people got a caution.
there, some of them just go too far.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, really, and I don't know. I've done a few Fridays when Marianne was out, and sometimes I'm really nervous. I just sense where they're going.
Yeah.
Go
They
either
see
way.
the opportunity and they take it. Definitely.
I have a line. I have an imaginary line, and it's my line, and I don't know where it is, but I know where not to cross it,
Yes.
even though I don't know exactly where it is. There's
A line.
there needs to be a line.
Yeah. There should be.
Yeah.
We hope you had a great time watching us. Thank you so much to Bob Levy for stopping
Thank
by.
you.
I enjoyed this thoroughly. I want you to know that. Really,
Thank you
I
so
think
much.
it's
It means a lot that you
excellent.
came on with
Yeah.
us. Thank you
And,
so much.